you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Livin the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here, coming at you with another growth MINIsode. This will be a bite-sized episode with the goal of setting a growth-minded intention and focus for the upcoming week. Each MINIsode is going to offer a quote that encapsulates the theme of the week. And after the quote, we're going to dive into a weekly focus, something small that we can concentrate on for the following 7 days. As well as we're going to touch on a physical activity and a nutritional tip that will better assist us in working towards a more healthy and optimal way of living our own dream life. And each MINIsode is going to end with the recommendation for the week. The recommendation could be anything from a podcast, a book, an article, a paper, anything that I think is going to help better educate ourselves toward the overall focus of the week. And if this is your first time listening to a MINIsode, the goal is to listen on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to be ready to start the challenges of the week on Monday. So listen to just one MINIsode every week. And as that week finishes, move on to the next week's MINIsode. I mean, you could start all the way over at MINIsode number 1, or you can join up with the team right now. These MINIsodes will only be as beneficial to you as you're willing to make them. So if you're playing along with the weekly focuses or the physical activity and nutrition tips, it'll help you be much more successful to do this with someone in your life. So grab an accountability buddy and share on your social media platforms the challenges of the week. You never know who is going to be quietly watching and rooting for you. And you never know whose life you will truly inspire just by sharing your journey, both the challenges and the successes. You're going to be far more likely with a support system and a social network to be successful. Get someone that's chasing similar fitness goals as you and do this with them. And as you work on making your life healthier and you motivate your network through your positive actions and your lifestyle choices, the ripple effect, it's unimaginable with who will be touched by you motivating and posting and including others in your journey. So let's dive into this week's Growth MINIsode. This week's quote comes from Do Zantamara, author, artist, and photographer. She says, "Some days are blessings and some days are worse. Look for the blessings and not the curse. Be positive, stay strong, and get enough rest. You may not be able to do it all, but you can always do your best." This quote really spoke to me because I've been diving into the world of mindset and manifestation and the placebo effect and just choosing how you react to situations. I've been playing around with it in my everyday life. So for those of you that really know me, you know I may have a little bit of a control issue when it comes to my own life. I mean, as I'm sure a lot of us do, I feel like I like to feel in control of what is happening to me. I like to know that my actions will have the planned, desired outcomes and expectations that I have meticulously drawn out in my head. So you can imagine what goes on in my crazy brain when inevitably my expectations do not get met. Some of the smallest things can send me spiraling into a negative thought loop. And I can, almost as a second person observing what is happening, I can see this thing forming and morphing inside of me, and it's something toxic. I can feel it affecting every part of my being, and it just won't go away. It's just right there in my head. It's the only thing I can think about. And there's nothing I can do to stop it. It's one thing that I'm trying so hard to reverse, and I talk about it all the time while I'm coaching people. I say this: positive thoughts bring positive results. Control what you can control. Don't worry about the things that you can't. What is this situation trying to teach you, and how can you grow from it? I mean, even the most positive people are going to have negative thoughts sometimes. So why do I get so bent out of shape when it happens? I mean, it's really easy to say these things: control what you control and don't worry about the things that you can't. What is this situation trying to teach me, and how can I grow from it? Yet it's so hard to implement. That's why I love this quote so much. Some days are a blessing and some days are worse. Look for the blessings and not the curse. Be positive, stay strong, and get enough rest. You may not be able to do it all, but you can always do your best. So this is talking about being positive, staying strong, And the last thing she says is get enough rest. Oftentimes when people don't get enough sleep, they're not at their best. So all these things are great. I heard this really interesting saying the other day. I can't remember who said it, but they said, if this isn't going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset about it. Super interesting way to think about it. The mind is super powerful, and every thought that you have, it creates chemistry in the brain, and it creates actual physical structural change to the neural network in the brain. So if it's not going to matter in 5 years, why would you spend more than 5 minutes being upset about it and actually do all of this negative work to structure your brain? Every thought that you have is either laying down a pathway toward a desired outcome, or it's reinforcing a way of thinking that's negative. Can we stop and think about that right now? Every single thought in your mind is actually, not metaphorically, not in a roundabout way, every single thought is changing physically in your brain who you are. Here's an analogy. I like to think about your brain's neural pathways are like streets and roads. Stick with me here. I know it's going to be a little bit weird, but just stick with me. So I'm from a place in Oregon where a ton of the roads in my hometown were actually small, tiny, one-lane dirt roads. I would sometimes hop on a four-wheeler and I would ride from my house out on the farm on these back dirt roads, and I would meet my friends somewhere in the forest where we would all park our trucks in a circle and hang out by a bonfire all night. Well, I didn't have a truck. I had a tiny Honda Accord, and all my friends had jacked up F350 huge Ford trucks. I actually got made fun of all the time about it because I was the only one that didn't have a truck. And they actually had to pull my little car, my poor little car, out of these sticky situations in the forest. But I'm kind of getting away from the point. So anyways, when our brains are younger, all of these neural pathways or streets are like these small, tiny dirt roads. They're brand new, barely used, and they're not very strong structures. They're very malleable. However, the more that you use those streets, the more we build up these dirt roads into 2-lane streets. And then they turn into 4 lanes, 2 on one side, 2 on the other, 4-lane main streets. And then they turn into highways. And then eventually that small road that gets used so much, it needs to be turned into something huge because it gets used so much. So now it turns into this huge interstate freeway with 6 lanes on either side, carpool lanes, medians, bridges, all that jazz. The more you ask the brain to use this pathway, the more reinforced it gets. So this is why positive thinking and analyzing tough situations as teaching lessons or trying to find the good in not so good things, that's why this is so important. We all know that one person. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a client or a neighbor. We all know that one person who is so extremely negative that when you're around them, you feel physically drained from just interacting with them. This is a real thing, and you can think of that person right off the top of your head right now. There's other people, and other people give you energy just by being in their presence. You know the people. They're the ones that you love being around, that light up the room. I'm not talking about some hippie woo-woo stuff here. We've all felt this. Those energy-sucking negative people, they have built those neural pathways in their brain, and they see every situation as negative. They have the option of deciphering what is happening to them, and their brain is going to automatically take the road that's most traveled, that's most often used, and the more negative they get, the more it goes into that negative spiral. So it's really not actually their fault. Every opportunity they get, they blame it on something that's happening to them, and they will never look at what that thing may be doing for them. Those positive people that brighten up the room when they walk in, that make you forget about the negative stuff going on in your life while you're with them, those people have done the exact opposite of what those negative people think. They have strengthened the neural pathways of what this quote is talking about. They are no better or worse than these negative people. They just have built their positive pathways into super interstate highways. Some days are blessings, some days are worse. Look for the blessings and not the curse. Be positive, stay strong, and get enough rest. You may not be able to do it all, but you can always do your best. Now, if you're one of those people that struggle with negative thoughts and emotions, if you're like me and you have these moments where you're in a negative spiral and you can't get out of it, it's okay. It's okay. Everyone has it. Your brain is trying to take one of those small, tiny back dirt roads. Here's the good news. Once you're aware that it's happening, you can stop it right there in its tracks. You can decide that you're not going to lay down more neural pathways on that negative route. You can decide, I'm going to take the positive pathway. Even if I may think that the negatives outweigh the positives, you can tell your body and your brain that when you encounter situations in life, you want the brain to take the positive route. You want to make the brain reinforce your positive highway. So this week's weekly focus is when you're going through a tough task and you start to think, I don't want blank to happen. Or I hope blank doesn't happen. I'm worried blank is going to happen. Quickly shift your mindset to, I want blank to happen. I know if I do my best, blank will happen. Focus all your mind on positive outcomes rather than all the endless negative possibilities. One manifested powerful focused thought is stronger than infinite unknown weak possibilities. And we've touched on this topic before in a past MINIsode where your body has a certain part of the brain that is made for filtering out unnecessary sensory information. There's a lot going on in the world right now. And if your brain was able to process all of it, you'd go absolutely insane. So it discards what's not important while focusing on what's front of your mind. If you think I have this car that I want to buy, that's all you're going to see. If you think I want this puppy that I want, that's the only type of puppy you're going to see. You're going to see it everywhere. Where your mind goes, your actions follow. Focus on what you want to happen. Say it in your head, or even say it out loud if you want. Instead of saying, I hope blank doesn't happen, instead say that believe and manifest, I want blank to happen. Let me know if you use this mindset shift this week, and let me know the outcomes. It won't always work out how we expect, of course, but you're going to learn from what happens, and you can decide if it happened to you or if it happened for you. This week's physical activity tip is to unleash your inner child. We have to stop using age as an excuse for our physical incapability. I kind of touched on this last week, and I got a lot of good feedback from it. I got some people saying that they were very interested in my personal thought process behind this. And this isn't about me. This has a huge negative impact psychologically when you say that this is just because of your age. Yes, the body does change as we age. That's not debatable. It's science. But saying now that I'm older, I can't do this, it's just an easy out, and it does nothing but give you an excuse to stop trying. Your body and your mind will start to believe your words, and your actions are going to follow right along. And this is where decline is accelerated. Our life decisions and actions up until this very present moment, our life decisions and actions are what dictate what our current physical abilities are. When you were a kid, you jumped, you ran, you played, you rolled on the floor, you wrestled, you fell, you climbed, you moved. But as you aged, you most likely stopped doing almost all of these things. When's the last time you climbed a tree? When's the last time you rolled around on the floor, you played, you jumped, you sprinted? If you don't use it, you lose it. Your body is going to prioritize what you ask it to prioritize, what you ask it to do all the time. It's going to strengthen where you ask it to be stronger. And it will also slowly start to solidify your body into certain positions if you put yourself in those positions too long. If you always sit, that is what your body is going to do, and it's going to get really good at it, and that's how your body's going to be shaped. If you never squat all the way down, the muscles and the nervous system, they're not going to be able to control that movement anymore. It's going to slowly go away. So anytime you encounter a movement this week that you are unable to do, maybe there's pain, maybe you're not flexible enough, maybe you're not strong enough, figure out why you're unable to do that movement, research how you can meet yourself where you're at right now, and then how you can be able to train yourself to be able to do that movement one day. And work on that. If you can't find anything to help you get to where you want to go, just reach out to me. Send me a video or an explanation of what's going on, and we can totally figure it out together. There are plenty of things in this world that try to stop us from doing what we want to do in life, to live our own dream. But your physical capabilities should not be one of them. Moving on to this week's nutrition tip. This week's nutrition tip is to consider trying bulletproof coffee. It has a very high amount of healthy saturated fats, great for our brains. Other benefits of bulletproof coffee are improved metabolism, possible weight loss benefits for you, stabilized gut health, and increased mood and strength. I had never had a sip of coffee before I turned 30. My very first coffee was because I heard about the benefits of bulletproof coffee and I kept researching it. I'm like, damn, I have to try this out. I wanted to see what all the hype was about. And I now currently drink a cup of bulletproof coffee probably like 4 or 5 mornings out of the week. It's one of my favorite parts of my morning routine, actually. So to make bulletproof coffee, you're going to want to blend in a blender. This is super important. You can't just stir it. Blend in a blender your coffee, some MCT oil, which is medium chain triglyceride oil, and grass-fed ghee butter. Blend all of that together. I usually do a tablespoon of MCT oil and a tablespoon of grass-fed ghee butter, along with maybe a cup and a half of coffee. I use a magic bullet, so one of those magic bullets that you can just stick onto the thing and just push it down and blend it. What I use 4 Sigmatics Focus Mushroom Blend grounded coffee, so I get those benefits of the mushroom, along with Thrive Markets coconut MCT oil. And I get grass-fed ghee butter from Costco, actually, because it's the best value. So if you're interested, send me a DM and I can send you a photo of what I suggest if you can't find any of the ingredients that fit your own needs, of course. Just do your own research, get your own stuff, whatever you think is the best for you. Give it a try. It's delicious, actually. It's a great way to start your day. And the brain-boosting benefits that I get personally from it are pretty distinct, at least for me. It does break your fast, so if you do intermittent fasting, it will break your fast. So just know that. But let me know what you think. And lastly, this week's recommendation is to listen to an episode of the Model Health Show with Sean Stevenson. This episode is titled Exercise Success Secrets, Optimizing Hormones, and Beating Depression with Amir Rosic. This is episode number 64, released August 13th, 2014. So it's a super old episode, but loaded with amazing information in the categories of exercise, hormones, and overcoming the struggles of depression. So again, the episode is titled Exercise Success Secrets, Optimizing Hormones, and Beating Depression. And that's it, my friends, for this week's Growth MINIsode. Each week, we're going to focus on something new and dial in a different aspect of physical activity and nutrition. Share with your friends and family, and hold each other accountable. Post on your social media stories when you're able to shift your mindset positively this week. Post a video of you finding your inner child, or of you brewing some of your bulletproof coffee. And make sure that you tag me and share your journey. Let me know if you have any suggestions or tips that would help this Livin the Dream team that I can discuss on future episodes. I'm going to be here right with you working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.